Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast with your host, John Dabari.
I can beat the shit out of Hollywood Brown if you'd like.
Matt Walker.
Put the DK Metcalf at running back.
And Andrew Berg.
I love Hakeem Butler, actually. He's starting to grow on me.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow the guys on Twitter at the Fantasy 40. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast. We are back. Myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, Matt Walker. Today is the Week 12 preview. Some of you guys this is your last week. Some people's playoffs start now. I mean, it just kind of depends on your league settings, but we're here to give you that info you're going to need. Who you want to roll out or who you want to stay the hell away from. Let's just get into it, guys. Let's start with the Thursday night game. I think this is one of the first times we're recording before we can preview this awesome Thursday night game. And it is
lucky us and the listeners.
Yeah, lucky us. It's the Colts who have Brissett back, and the Texans.
Nothing else.
Yep, and Texas just got their ass spanked by the Lamar Jacksons. So, they're both coming off of the Colts got a win last week, correct?
Oh, boy, did they.
Right?
They ran all over those Jacksonville Jaguars, but unfortunately, Marlon Mack broke his hand and already had surgery on it. It's his right hand, which is his dominant hand. So you have to think he is out for the foreseeable future. I would say 4 weeks is probably a cautious estimate for a broken hand on a running back. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so we'll just start here. Nyheim Hines, is that somebody you're looking to roll out?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine because he was like, who's this Jonathan Williams? I was like, man, I really liked him out of Arkansas, but he's bounced around the league, couldn't get a shot anywhere. He was supposed to be the starter in Buffalo one year, and they cut him going into the season when he was their top back in the preseason. But he looked amazing. I think a lot of people could look amazing behind this Colts offensive line. It's probably the best run blocking line. I haven't looked at PFF. In football, he looked really good, but he was only active in getting the rock because Jordan Wilkins was out with an ankle. Wilkins has already come out and said he feels a lot better and he expects to be active. So I'm thinking there's going to be a timeshare in our running downs work. And they're going to Houston and they're dogs, road dogs. So I think this could be a Nyheim Hines week.
John just said no, so we don't.
John did just say no. He has nothing to do with this.
Nothing. I mean, it's pretty damn ugly. Even at the wide receiver position, running backs, Houston, Carlos Hyde and whatever else they got going on there. That's nasty. So let's just go to the receivers.
Listen, Hyde broke a useless touchdown in that blowout against the Ravens, though, to still end up putting up another decent day when he looked like shit again, but he broke like a 40-yard touchdown late. But Indy's supposed to be getting T.Y. Hilton back from everything I read.
Yes. I think going back to the running backs, I think Wilkins, if he's back, he's going to be the goal line guy. He's going to get the short yardage work. He's not going to put up a massive total of yardage for you. I think they're going to let Williams kind of run between the 20s. But I think we're going to see touchdowns from Wilkins unless Williams breaks one. And Hines is going to have his kind of PPR value, but I don't love any of them until I could see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the sad thing is that you want one of these guys to be the guy because you just saw what the Ravens did to this Texans run defense where Gus Edwards had 112 and a touchdown on 8 carries, Lamar Jackson 86 on 9, Mark Ingram caught 2 touchdown passes. Like, obviously, running backs are a problem for Houston, but I'm not trusting either one of those guys. They could likely each get 10 carries in the game for 50 yards, and you hope one of them gets the touchdown at the end of the day. So it's tough. You want to blow your fab on one of these guys, but I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I'd try to look elsewhere. Maybe we can come up with something here in a little bit. But I mean, anything else you guys want to talk about in this game? I'm not too excited about it.
I gotta think Houston comes back decent at home after that dog shit big game performance last week. They looked awful. If they beat Baltimore last week, if I'm not mistaken, they would have been the number 2 seed in the AFC. Instead, they come out and lay down like a bunch of fucking dogs and looked terrible. So I assume they're going to come back and they don't want to leave that shitty taste in their mouth. I hope they come out and look good. So that's what I'm anticipating Houston to come out and beat Indy pretty soundly.
Yep. Wouldn't be surprised though. Either way, honestly, you just don't know what these teams are at this point. These next group of games are just horrible.
Hold on, before we move on, I'm right there with John. This should be a huge Deshaun Watson game. Last week when John and I did actually record, I said I did not trust Watson against the Ravens, and I went with Drew Brees. I have a similar issue again this week. Would you start Brees at home against Carolina, or would you start Watson Thursday night against the Colts?
Watson.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Brees at home, 9.5-point favorites against Carolina. You think Watson does bounce back and has that game?
I just don't see Drew Brees being Drew Brees.
Well, listen, he threw 3 touchdowns last week on the road. I mean,
I get it. It's just
right now I have Watson in. I'm scared because I'm like, I get Brees at home in a division game where they're 10-point favorites. And the dreaded Thursday night, but I could also see Watson having a vintage like 300-yard, 3 touchdown runs for a touchdown game in a must-win against the Colts.
Yeah, so
it's also Thursday, so it's going to be fucking 17-13.
There you go. And then you have to sit and look at that box score for 4 days.
So where I was going is these next, I would say, 4 games in the slate are nasty. We have the Dolphins at the Browns, the Lions at the Redskins, the Raiders at the Jets, the Giants at the Bears. I will not be tuning into any of those, but
yikes!
I just don't. What do we want to talk about the Browns and the Dolphins? Hopefully OBJ gets targeted 13 times again and catches 5 of them.
No, this is a Jarvis Landry revenge game right here.
Dun.
2 touchdowns from Juice in this one. So hopefully Chubb gets the carries he's been getting. We talked about it on the previously recorded pod. This should be a pretty easy game for these Browns at home, but there's no such thing. It's a pretty easy game for the Browns. So only time will tell, but you can't really start anyone in Miami. We're down to no running backs of value in Miami, 1 wide receiver worth of shit, and a quarterback you don't even want to start in 2 QB leagues. So, yeah, that's an ugly game.
Moving on to the Lions and Redskins.
No Myles Garrett, so Miami may not have much of a pass rush to deal with.
Fitzpatrick, you are safe.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about your head getting caved in.
Safe from not getting his head bashed in.
Right?
What's going on with Mason Rudolph and helmets? We were laughing a couple weeks ago at how stupid he looked when they just took the face mask off. Then he gets one with a face mask and gets bashed over the head with it. He's having a bad year for helmets.
Listen, he clearly believes they're optional.
You know how fucking that guy is such a. I liked him coming out, and then watching the interviews like after that, watching how he acted, he makes Roethlisberger look like a sympathetic figure. So you're like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit.
He reminds me of the douchebags in like any of those college frat movies. You know, the leader of the frat.
He's pretty hateable. Yeah.
I mean, literally, like I'm not going to be bullied. Like, what are you, 16? Hey, you stuffed in lockers in high school? Like, who's getting bullied at 25 years old anymore? Like,
we're old, Walker. That's what happens now.
Give it a break. Miles Garrett will do whatever the fuck he wants to you as well. So you could bow up your chest all you want while you got 350-pound lineman grabbing at him and punching him in the neck until he goes to the ground. But, meet Miles Garrett in an alley.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let me know what you're not going to do to him.
He definitely must have got a few swirlies in his day, but
gonna get Roethlisberger if Garrett wants to.
All right. Oh my God. Let's go to the Lions. Lions and Redskins. Walker, I'm gonna pick your brain real quick. I've been kind of busy with some other obligations, but I heard some rumblings about Geis maybe getting some work. I mean, they got to see something from him, I guess, at this point. Is that still ringing true, or is it an overreaction?
Well, it was almost an even split in the rushing downs work just last week. Adrian Peterson had 9 carries, didn't do shit with him at 25 yards, but Geis had 7 carries, didn't do shit with him with 24 yards. So it wasn't the rushing down work, but Geis had a huge 45-yard touchdown catch in the fourth quarter. So he was far more productive from a fantasy standpoint. And I got to think they continue to shift the weight in Geis's favor as the season goes on. I think this in what should be an ugly game. I mean, who knows? Jeff Driscoll's kept things kind of frisky in Detroit these last couple of weeks, but Geis should probably see 15 touches in this game. You know, they're only a 3.5 point dog at home to Detroit.
Solid. So you're saying solid flex option there with Geis, you think?
I would. Yeah.
Right.
The bye week, couple running backs out during this bye week. You know, 4 teams on bye. I'd trust him as a flex.
If you're looking for a sneaky play, we mentioned Kelvin Harmon on the last episode. Kelvin Harmon led the Redskins.
Or did we?
Did we? He led the Redskins in targets last week.
Harmon.
So this Detroit dogshit secondary, Kelvin Harmon could actually be a top 12 wide receiver this week, which is crazy, but it's out of nowhere. It's certainly possible.
You are not incorrect in that he led him with targets. You chose not to actually disclose that there were 6 targets in the game that he led the team with when like 4 other guys had 4. So factually correct, but it wasn't like he was peppered with targets in the game.
Don't let the facts get in the way here. This is just what happened.
Don't you dare. Haskins threw it 35 times and the leading target guy had 6. That's like the definition of spreading it around. Terry McLaurin was losing his shit in this game, like spiking balls after catches, like just screaming like it's about fucking time. And I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't even curse. So,
Lions side of the ball. Any running backs worth starting on the Lions at this point? No.
Listen, there was Bo Scarborough out of the blue. You know, he looked half decent, but I'm not starting him. By no means. I mean, we talked about the Indy guys. I would still rather take a flyer on either Indy guy over Scarborough, to be honest with you. It's just you don't want Detroit running back. I mean, that's been proven time and again this year.
But Patricia will force feed these trash guys. Trey Carson had a fucking huge game a couple weeks ago before he got hurt. So, you know, Scarborough's the next guy off the street. They gave him 14 carries, which isn't a huge number, but it's also not terrible. He's going to do 0 in the passing game. He's worthless in PPR, but in a standard league, if you are desperate, somebody's on the buy for you this week, he's not the shittiest option in the world if you need to roll somebody out there. He's going to get the volume.
It's very true. And if you're in a standard league, please do us all a favor and just delete your account and stop following the fantasy party. All right.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, some people play.
I'm in a couple.
Yeah, I play
Listen,
one.
I'll alienate myself. It's fine. I just don't have time to try and figure out all these. You know, I'm more in tight end premium leagues. I'm in 2 quarterback leagues. I'm not trying to figure out standard leagues anymore.
You don't have to.
Go PPR.
It's right there for you.
No, it's not. No,
yeah, it's easy.
Like John said, Bo Scarborough went from irrelevant to someone that you could possibly add in a standard league. That's the delineation that makes me know I don't want to be in any standard league.
That's good.
He looked like LeGarrette Blount's little brother or something.
And that's what Patricia wants. That's kind of where I'm at.
He's big and falls forward. You know, All right, whatever. Yeah.
Walker's got some against big guys that fall forward. He hates Ballage, maybe because he falls sideways.
Doesn't fall forward.
He falls sideways.
Yeah, he does sideways for sure. Okay.
He does forward as duck.
Pass catchers for the Lions going into the playoffs. Obviously, if you have Marvin Jones, you're probably flexing him or starting him as your 2 or 3. But we know we all want Galladay in this game for sure. Hopefully, I mean, Hawkinson's kind of a risk.
Not with Driscoll, I don't. I'm not playing Galladay if I have other options. And we all know I love Kenny Galladay.
Listen, everyone on the Jets got off against this Washington secondary last week. I mean, Ryan Griffin caught a touchdown, so did Crowder. Even on his one target, Robbie Anderson caught a touchdown. Some guy named Daniel Brown, supposedly a tight end, had a touchdown in the game as well. You're definitely rolling Galladay out there again, and you have to start Marvin Jones. Washington stinks.
Okay.
Do not get away from him. I'm going back to the well. Galladay will be a viable low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 this week.
All right, well, let's go to the Jets game. They're at home against the Oakland Raiders for the time being. Their season's almost done, but Raiders are kind of in a playoff push in that weak AFC West besides the Chiefs. So
they're going to beat the shit out of the terrible Jets.
I think so,
It's a trap game.
I think so, too.
Well, it could be.
This is a trap game.
West Coast going east.
Yeah.
So let's try to pick out a few guys. Robbie Anderson finally got in the end zone last week, and not only did he get in, he fell into the stands. People
No,
are gonna.
them.
Nope, he went right down in there.
There's a bunch of Adam Gases out there. They're like, nope, not touching them.
Right. So it's good to see him to finally get in the end zone.
One catch for 7 yards, though. That was it, right?
I believe so. It's
Foster Moreau of wide receivers.
yes.
Well,
Take
Get what you can.
Hey, and standard, John.
Spend
He's worth
anything
an
in a
ad.
row.
How about that? You don't care about that one.
Thank you.
Raiders side of the ball, obviously rolling out Josh Jacobs. Is Derek Carr, obviously
Yeah.
if you're at Superflex, you're trusting him to roll out this week? So say, for instance, let's give one QB league, you got Derek Carr on your bench, and I don't know. What's another one comparable to him? Let's go Kyle Allen or did I call him Derek Carr?
No, I said what's comparable to him. Sorry.
Oh,
David Carr.
Gotcha. Let's go with Derek Carr or Josh Allen.
Carr.
Josh Allen. He has more upside.
Ooh.
I like
I'm not anti-Carr, but listen, he had a decent game. He got a rushing touchdown against the Bengals, but let's not forget they just got in a pillow fight with the Bengals and didn't look too good in a 17-10 win. So road Carr at 1:00. I don't know that I want to trust that. The only benefit to Carr is that the Jets are really good against the run. So they'll probably try and rely on Josh Jacobs, but they might have to throw it more than they want in what will probably be a closer game than people expect. So I can see Carr having a decent game. I can also see Darnold having a good game, to be honest with you, because Oakland secondary isn't good. I mean,
beat up.
They look decent against the Bengals, sure, but they have no one of note in that secondary. So I think
Given both of these teams' secondaries, the total is currently 45.5. I can
Low.
see that this could be a shootout because the secondaries both suck.
I buy it. I mean, Gase will try his damnedest not to make it one. It's shitty play calling and not using Le'Veon Bell as he should. But I agree. I'm surprised by that total, unless they just don't expect Oakland to show up given the 1:00 start.
Certainly possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all valid points. Let's just keep on trucking. Let's go to the Giants and the Bears. Trubisky is kind of, I don't think they've made a final call. They tried to bail him out and say that he had a banged up shoulder and that's why he got benched. But I think it's starting to become the beginning of the end here.
The fucking Bears they opened at a 7-point favorite at home, 6.5. It's 6 at some places now. I'll never lay a fucking touchdown with this awful team. I don't give a fuck. Home, road, who they're playing. I wouldn't feel comfortable laying 7 against Cincinnati. The Bears stink. The Giants will probably come in here and win this on the road. The Bears are defensively, they're sound, but boy, are they dog shit on offense.
Yeah, it's not smart money. Giants off a bye week. Hopefully Saquon's a little healthier. I hear Sterling Shepard's practicing again. Who knows what's going to happen to him, but plugging him back into that offense helps. Maybe Ingram plays. I'd be interested to see if the Giants get all their weapons back, what this looks like. Because I agree with you. Trubisky has done everything to torpedo this franchise this year, and they can't go to Chase Daniel, right? They have to ride this string out with Trubisky, win, lose, or draw. And it's exposing their defense because they're on the field too much and they're putting negative game scripts and they're getting gashed against the run. I'm with you. I don't see giving 6 as for the Bears. It's smart money.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you might have to money line that game.
Yeah. I think the Giants pull this one out.
Giants plus 234.
I'm just going to look at that.
Yep.
Jeez. Go count your money.
Not the worst thing you could do with a couple of shillings.
This next game is not going to be a bad one, but I think there's not going to be
$250 at some places.
Oh, no one believes.
There's not going to be.
These guys watch football in Vegas?
I don't know.
What's going on here? I think they're trying to make it too appealing. Reverse trap.
Surprises in the next game. The Panthers and Saints. McCaffrey is going to do what he does. Even when he has a bad game, he's still, in the RB1 conversation. Not that he's had many bad games. Saints side of the ball. I think we talked about it in the last show. Walk. Do you think Cook is startable against the Panthers?
Listen, Cook is startable against anyone going forward now that Breeze is back. It's true. John, listen, you want to name me a dozen tight ends that you're confident you would start over Jared Cook?
I could name you 24.
Listen, you would be wrong on 20 of those guys more than
Foster
likely.
Moreau, I'll start there.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, he is a tight end one this week and likely going forward. You know, he's the third option in that passing game behind Thomas and Kamara, and there's no one else behind that. So he's going to get enough touches. They're a 9.5-point favorite. And after seeing what Kyle Allen did this past week, I can't say that I doubt that line. So they might not have to throw as much because I don't know that the Panthers can keep pace with them, to be honest with you. And yeah, McCaffrey will get his. You saw in a blowout loss, the dude still ended up putting up RB1 overall totals in a blowout because he caught like a dozen passes in the game. Amazing. So he's bulletproof. I mean, I said it earlier. The guy's been good. Win, lose, or draw, he is going to get his.
Speaking of bulletproof, sticking with New Orleans, now that Michael Thomas is going to get this looking like he's going to get that record for receptions in a year, I think they're going to force feed him to make sure he blows that out of the water. I mean, he's obviously already wide receiver one, and rightfully so, but I think he's going to even have a bigger run to close out the year because I think they want to get him the record and make it a comfortable lead for anybody to even touch it again.
Yeah, I mean, he's been working his way towards this record since he's came into the league. 92 receptions, 104 receptions, 125 receptions.
And he's catching something nuts, like 80% of his passes, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got Drew Brees running the ball. Yeah, he's 94 catches on 114. Well, shit, I can't say that because there was a lot of Teddy Bridgewater passes this year, but 94 catches on 114 targets. He's 9.4 catches per game so far right now. He's already over 1,000 yards on the season. Oh. Yeah, he's something special. I agree. I think they're going to make sure he gets that record because that's what they do in New Orleans. They did it with Brees for countless years when it was thrown for 6,000 yards a season, never taking the foot off the pedal. And there's just nothing else to throw to there outside of Kamara. So,
what about who are we taking, DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel this week?
It's always Moore. It's never Samuel. For me.
I agree with the overall, but it hasn't always been Moore. There has been a few Samuel games. But
before the game, I will always pick Moore.
Correct. He can't really go away. He's the one getting all the targets, even in shitty outcomes. I mean, what do you got? He had 15. He had more targets than McCaffrey. He had 15 targets from Kyle Allen. Get 8 of them for 95 yards. So I thought he was going to have a breakout, like 2 touchdown game against the Falcons. That did not take place, but Moore's the superior talent, and he gets more targets. So you do have to roll more, but I do like Samuel.
Hey, I didn't even notice. We have a Fantasy 40 rivalry game here going. John Seahawks against Walks Eagles. John, who are you going to start on the Seahawks this week?
Of course, Russell Wilson. Give me. I like Josh Gordon. I think they got him involved a lot more than I thought they would have. He started the game kind of slow 2 weeks ago, and then towards the end they used him a little more. But he had the bye week, he had a whole week of practice with the team. I think if you're an opposing defense, you're going to focus more on Lockett and then worry about Metcalf beating you, and that leaves Gordon kind of the odd man out for coverage. Josh Gordon versus your team's third best cornerback. Give me Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I can't really argue with him on Metcalf this week as well. I haven't read anything about Lockett except that he'll be fine after a few days in the Bay Area hospital. But, you know, they had their bye week. It looked like it was just a leg contusion, swelled up on him. There was no residual damage, but might be interested in seeing practice reports this week because you can still, there's a 48-point over-under in this game. Although the Patriots didn't really throw all over the Eagles, you still can do it. They have the talent to do it with those wide receivers. So I would expect a big game from Wilson. And I'm leaning Metcalf over Gordon. I see what you see in Gordon. But Metcalf's just been there the whole time and been pretty consistent, to be totally honest with you. So I'm actually going to be rolling Metcalf out for the first time in one of my dynasty leagues in a pretty big spot. So I'm going against my own home team.
Oh, against your own Philly team too?
What I believe will happen.
All right. Well, is there anyone on your team you're going to start?
I'd want to say Miles Sanders, but unfortunately he wasn't even given the majority of the touches a week ago against the Patriots in a one-score game. I saw a lot of Boston Scott, which I like Boston Scott, but he shouldn't have been getting 7 carries to Sanders 11. And Sanders just wasn't as involved in the passing game. Only 4 targets, 2 catches for 9 yards. I just didn't can't understand the game plan there is to not get Miles Sanders 20 touches in a winnable game against the Patriots. He should see it again, but now we're a week later and Jay Ajayi being added. I think Ajayi is going to cut into the touches a little bit. And that's if Jordan Howard doesn't make a return from this stinger. So I think we're going to have a muddled backfield, no matter who's active. Can't start any of the wide receivers because why would you? You're going to continue to fire up Ertz, and I think you can fire up Goddard in a, in a limited, there's not a lot of tight ends that present his touchdown upside.
And Ertz, both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Goddard caught the touchdown last week. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, Seattle hasn't been good against the tight end either. So
yeah, and also, listen, talking about tight ends, Jacob Hollister is a real thing. Russell Wilson makes tight ends relevant. So
except fucking Nick Vannett, who I held for 5 years.
This is true. I blame Nick Vannett. Yeah, so I mean, you can start Hollister. He's probably, he probably should be ranked as a tight end 1 this week as well. Should be a lot of scoring in that game. I think it'll be relatively high scoring.
All right.
I think it's the second highest total of the week.
Well, listen, Andrew rattled off the epic Week 12 slate that we have, and it's pretty shitty. So it's not going to take much.
Last week.
Not as far as game totals, but yeah, maybe matchups.
Well, here's another fire matchup: the Buccaneers against the Falcons.
Listen, that's the high total. That's it. That's the game of the week. Yeah.
Walk in the last show, he was kind of talking about maybe Jameis getting shifted over towards the bench. I haven't heard any rumblings yet, so I'm still trusting Evans and Godwin. Looks like OJ Howard's in the doghouse again, so not trusting him. Running backs,
sucks.
I don't know what you do there. I hope you're not in a predicament where you're wondering if you should start Ronald Jones over Barber. If so, you're probably not in the playoffs. But
listen, a little piece of me died on Brian Hill last week, and I will not make that same mistake again. He got the carries. He didn't get any passes out of the backfield of significance. Lost a touchdown late that was overturned, but still not what I anticipated. Also didn't think they were going to win the game. Thought it'd be close, but didn't see them going on a winning streak, and now they're favored at home against Tampa Bay. So who even knows what's going on with this?
I think the Falcons kicked the shit out of them. I think
they should. They're at home. They're 4.5-point favorites. You can throw on Tampa Bay. That's still what Atlanta does best. Calvin Ridley's going to have a monster. Julio Jones, could have a 2-touchdown game. Maybe Russell you get a little maybe a little Russell Gage. There's no tight end of significance because Hooper's hurt. Maybe you get a little pass catching out of the backfield. But Tampa's stout against the run still. So if you were disappointed in Brian Hill last week, imagine what his stat line could be like this week. Could be Kalen Ballage-esque.
No, this is a typical fantasy mind fuck where last week, great matchup, Brian Hill does nothing. Nobody starts him this week. Brian Hill is going to, go off on a good run defense after doing nothing last week. That's just – if I'm playing DFS in a big tournament, I'm rolling Brian Hill out because no one's using him after last week.
And the guy had the fucking nerve to get on Twitter and say some shit.
Oh, listen, a good old-fashioned post-hype sleeper. Wow. Yep. Not taking that cheese. I will not be starting him. I will start either indie guy over Brian Hill this week just off principle. But, yeah, I mean, start all your pass catchers in this game. And you can probably start Cameron Brate. You just mentioned O.J. Howard trying to go behind the back on a reception and handing it over to the defense, and he was planted on the bench. Cameron Brate got peppered with targets, and James Winston loves Cameron Brate. If he's going to get snaps, he's going to get volume. Right. And they're going to need to throw in this game against the Falcons. So Cameron Brate should be a tight end 1 this week too.
Okay. Broncos, Bills. Bills are, they're holding it down over there in the AFC, led by Josh Allen. PPR wise, I think John Brown's still doing a little bit. Cole Beasley or those kind of sneaky guys if you're in super deep leagues. The Broncos, you want to hit that one, Walk?
Listen, we're dealing with a solid middle school line of 37 total points projected to be scored for these fantasy juggernauts. But Josh Allen at home should cut him up, do what he wants. Chris Harris takes away the wide receiver 1. That's going to be John Brown. I would limit expectations for John Brown. There's no reason that he shouldn't be following him around the field. Should be able to run on Denver, so it should be a Singletary game, but who knows? John Brown's the only guy I would be trusting on the Buffalo Bills. And I hope you said break down the Bills because I wasn't listening to you, and I just picked the team I thought was going to win.
Yeah, they don't matter.
The game opened at 35. It climbed up to 37.
Oh, Jesus.
That's fascinating. In today's
And
NFL,
it's almost impossible to score that few points given the landscape of the NFL today, where you're not allowed to play defense.
I'm not interested in anyone here. This game's yuck.
Yeah, well, listen, Tre'Davious White should also probably be all over Cortland Sutton. And we were talking on the last podcast about how well Cortland Sutton's played. Well, this isn't the greatest matchup for that continued ascension of Sutton. Buffalo does allow rushing touchdowns, so maybe Lindsey gets his. I'm not trusting Royce Freeman. But Noah Fant, if you're in a pinch, maybe he was getting high value targets. He was targeted on the last play of the game where they were going for the win. So obviously Brandon Allen likes Noah Fant. But agree with John said. You shouldn't be starting anyone in this game if you can avoid it. All right, where we go next, Burke? You're muted.
Where we are at the Steelers Bengals. I was just looking down. Don't think I'm starting anybody in this game except for Joe Mixon. Juju, I guess you have to.
He ain't playing.
Jalen motherfucking Samuel, son.
Yeah, start the running backs. Juju is not playing. Not only did he get a concussion, he picked up a knee injury in the game. There's 0.0% chance that Juju plays in the game. Deontay Johnson's in a concussion protocol. He ain't playing. Fire up your James Washingtons, because this is going to be that James Washington game for the year where there's just nothing else for Rudolph to throw to but him and Vance McDonald. I think Joe Mixon and Jalen Samuels are the only two chalky plays in this game. It's going to be ugly. It should be low. Somehow the Bengals are still plus 6.5 when Pittsburgh's bringing nothing but defense to the party.
Yeah, ugly game. A lot of banged up guys. And I wouldn't be surprised with that kind of news from Juju that maybe he just kind of hangs it up for the rest of the year.
He probably wants to.
So he's not running back. Yeah, that dude loves playing football. I'll give it to him. But it's a lost season. They can keep winning insignificant games all they want. It's not going to matter in the playoffs. Right. Their defense isn't the Ravens, 2000, where you can just prop up Trent Dilfer and win on defense alone.
Right. Let's go to the Jaguars then against the Titans. Another freaking exciting game here.
I'm gonna let you have this one, John, because your boy Leonard Fournette just fell on his face against the Colts.
Well, they didn't even run. Didn't they only run the ball like 9 times? Something goofy.
Listen, he didn't do good with them.
Look, every week we get to Tennessee and we just fucking moan and groan. These are just the worst games every week. They don't do anything, but they're good enough to stop the opposing teams from doing anything. I would play DJ Shark. I would Foles for sure and Superflex 1 QB. I would hope there's another option for you. Fournette this could be just Fournette and Derrick Henry running back and forth for 3 downs before they punt it to the other one. So there's nobody on Tennessee I want except Henry and Jacksonville. Give me Shark, give me Fournette, give me Foles with 0 confidence. This has got 6 to 10 written all over it.
The correct answer here was, did you see what the Colts did to this Jaguars defense last week in the run game? You are starting Derrick Henry. He is just getting locked into that RB1 position. There is absolutely no world where Derrick Henry isn't an RB1 this week. He will have 101 minimum in this game. They will run it 30 times with him.
Well, if you remember Derrick Henry's run from last year, I believe it was last year, where he just
thunder run.
Yeah, that was against the Jaguars. So,
listen, that was the minute that Jalen Ramsey decided he didn't want to be a Jaguar anymore.
Exactly
that exact moment. He was getting stiff arm down the field.
It really was. It really was. All right. The second of 2 late games to John's chagrin is the Cowboys and the Patriots. Huge game for the Cowboys, trying to keep that lead on Philly. Patriots are, I don't know. Tom Brady expressed some frustration this week. We got to do something because, they are not doing anything really on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is historic. Walk, do you see any of the Cowboys getting off against the Patriots?
I mean, listen, Belichick takes away your top guy. It's what he does. He's largely effective at doing it. at least Dallas has a few top guys that they can rely on. But I think this will be another tough game for Amari Cooper. They're going to put Gilmore on him and just let him follow him all around. Road Amari Cooper is not the same as home Amari Cooper, so I'd be a little scared of him. Again, I did express concern last week with Darius Slay going to be on him in Detroit, and that came to fruition. That could lead to Michael Gallup getting off. But you have to pound Zeke on this Patriots team. They're not a great run defense. They're a much better pass defense. So what I thought was going to be a huge week for Zeke last week, and it wasn't against Detroit, I think needs to be a huge week for Zeke this week against the Patriots if they want to win this game.
I personally think they're going to try to give the Patriots a little bit of a dose of their own medicine. I've been saying it for a while, but I think Tony Pollard needs a little more burn and maybe running some 2 running back sets and getting him the ball out in space because he's already proved that he can make stuff happen. Like I said, deep league, I wouldn't be too scared to roll out Pollard this week. I just think he's one of the sneaky plays of this game.
I mean, it's probably because it's unlimited touches, but Pollard looked great against Detroit, and Zeke wasn't finding the same success on a per-touch basis. So, it's probably by and large because when Zeke's on the field, you're keying on him. But Pollard looked good, especially catching the ball.
John, anything to add here in this game?
I mean, PPR, obviously, you're going to roll Edelman out every week. Other than that, New England, I don't really trust anybody. I'd like to see what they're going to do week 2 with N'Keal Harry, but I don't trust it. If you're desperate, might be worth a flyer. Dallas, they're just going to try to run Zeke the whole time. I do love me some Michael Gallup, but New England's been pretty strong against the pass, so I don't have the confidence he'll put up the points I need. But give me Zeke. I would trust Dak to kind of spread around, maybe get you a little bit with the legs, but this I don't know. New England's defense plus the way that they've spread the ball around on offense, nobody here really jumps out as a huge game breakout guy.
How bad did Mo Sanu lay an egg last week against the Eagles?
That's because we talked so good about him the week before.
Yeah, well, listen, man, John talked pretty. I brought him up. John had actually overlooked him as a new addition, and then we're both like, "Yeah, I mean, Christ, he should have a monster game against the Eagles." But it was Brady that couldn't get off. So maybe this week is kind of an ancillary option.
And just for those of you in dynasty leagues that were out there holding on to Gronk, he was supposed to have a big announcement today. The announcement was that he is holding a Super Bowl party in Miami, his first annual one. So there's
who didn't see that coming? I mean, I love this guy.
So he is not returning this year. He does have to the 30th to change his mind, but all signs point to no playoff run with the Patriots this year.
Listen, Gronk is planning to be in South Beach for the Super Bowl, and that's whether the Patriots are there or not. So
right.
Put it down.
All right, the Sunday night game, we have the Packers against the 49ers. I thought the 49ers were almost going to choke that game away from Arizona, and my prediction was going to be right that, once the Seahawks beat them, that they were going to go on this losing streak. Anyways, they eked out the win against Kyler Murray, and now they have Aaron Rodgers, but they are at home. So it looks like Debo's finally the wide receiver 1. Thank God.
Well, until Sanders gets healthy, and then he'll start getting funnel targets again. But Debo's looked amazing, and so let's hats off. I know they're on a bye week, but Kyler Murray looked damn impressive in that game, and he's gotten better week over week against.
He's had the 2 best games against the Niners all year.
He's their cheat code. He's running on them. He's extending plays. He's quick and decisive. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Put some better talent around him, and who knows what he can be. But 49ers at home against Green Bay off the bye. Should be an interesting matchup. Got flexed to this primetime game. I could easily see Green Bay going in there and winning off the bye. It's only, San Fran's only getting their nominal 3 points as the home favorite. So it should be a good Sunday night game. Who knows? Are you starting any of the running backs in San Fran? Probably not. Breda's not going to play. Tevin Coleman just laid another egg. Raheem Mostert didn't do anything of significance. Jeff Wilson literally had 1 snap in the game and caught the touchdown. It was his only snap of the entire game. Catches the game-winning touchdown.
That's all he does. I have him in a couple best ball spots, and I love him because
he's getting the job done.
This week he vultured a passing one. Wilson is a great best ball guy.
Yeah, no argument. But you're going to fire up Debo because I think San Fran's going to have to score points.
Oh, yeah.
Green Bay's going to score on San Fran's defense. I mean, that's just a reality. So you're definitely running Debo back. Maybe Kittle plays. If he doesn't, Ross Dwelley's been pretty damn decent. 2 touchdowns last week. I mean, Kittle hasn't done that this year. Isn't there 2 touchdown games on the ledger this year? So obviously that's a big product that our offense is that tight end position. If Emmanuel Sanders is active, I guess you play him. There's no one else you trust in San Fran. For Green Bay, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Aaron Jones. If you're in a pinch, it's Jamal Williams because they're going to forcibly involve him in the game.
Yes, sir.
It's Devontae Adams. You're not starting any other wide receivers from Green Bay, and I'm not trusting Jimmy Graham. So there's little else to trust on the Green Bay side.
No, you guys summed that up. That was good. Let's go to the Ravens and the Rams. The Rams are struggling on the offensive side of the ball, and this is not the team to fall behind on because once they see blood, they go for the kill, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. John, what do you got on the Ravens side of the rock?
They're going to beat the shit out of them. The Rams the Rams have not been good. They barely scrape by a horrific Bears team in primetime. Another primetime game. I just don't see it happening. Baltimore's really clicking, looking good. There's the chance for the letdown. Baltimore coming off the big win against Houston. However, they've got a good coach. A lot of these guys have been there before. It's not going to be too big for them. So they should go to LA and beat the shit out of them in a primetime game. Lamar Jackson is damn near unstoppable so far. Wide receiver, good luck there. Kind of roll the dice. If Hollywood Brown is... Well, Brown should draw what's his name from
Jalen
Ramsey. So maybe this ain't the game for him, although he's got the speed to kind of blow by him and maybe catch a long one. But I don't trust any of the Baltimore receivers, haven't really most of the year. But Jackson plus Ingram, and if they do get a lead, we could see Gus Edwards being fantasy relevant again. On the Rams side, I'll pass. No, thank you.
Listen.
Besides Gurley, of course.
We talked about the Giants getting 6 points from the Bears earlier. The Bears were a playoff team last year, and everyone's darling Trubisky was an MVP candidate going into the season. And now we're talking about Monday Night Rams, who in February of this year were playing in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. Yeah. And now they're a 3-point dog at home on Monday Night Football to the upstart Ravens. Things done change. I agree with John. You have to start Lamar Jackson. There's not a world where he isn't just a set it and forget it guy. Mark Andrews continues to produce. I'm not trusting Marquise Brown. He still looks limited. They seem to only put him in like situationally. He's limited snaps guy. So who knows if Seth Roberts is going to catch the touchdown or Chris Moore or Miles Boykin or whoever else. But start the running backs for Baltimore. For the Rams, I guess you got to start Gurley. I mean, you kind of can still run on the Ravens a little bit, and if the Rams are smart, they are going to try to play clock control ball to keep it out of Lamar Jackson's hands as much as they can. So this should be another 20-touch game for Gurley. And outside of that, I mean, who knows? You're not starting Goff. There's not a world you should start Goff. You probably still have to keep firing Kupp up, even though his values diminished week over week. Robert Woods was inactive last week for a personal matter, and you're already, who knows what Brandon Cooks is going to be. I heard something that he's playing, but good luck. There's not a world I'd start him his first game back from a concussion on Monday night after not having practiced in weeks. And then maybe Gerald Everett. I mean, it's unfortunate. There's not a lot on that Rams side that I want anything to do with in this game.
And this is why
a year ago.
And this is why I knew it once I started, trading people away. They did go trade for Ramsey, but they used a lot of money and a lot of picks for that little Super Bowl run they went on. And it's going to fall apart real quick, I think, in LA, faster than a lot of people do think. And,
I do not disagree.
So, I agree there for sure.
John, you're saying the Ravens come in and kick the shit out of the Rams?
Yes.
Just manhandle them, offense and defensive.
Offensively, for sure. Why not defensively? Not even that their defense is so incredible. The Rams' offense is trash.
Well, I think if you go to the most points scored by a team this year, I bet you the Ravens, if you go like top 5, probably have like 3 games where they've scored the most, per a week basis.
Listen, they might be the top scoring team in football this year.
Yep.
Honestly.
They are.
Are they?
When last I checked a couple weeks ago, and they haven't slowed down at all. So
they certainly have not. I mean, what they add to the ledger last week? 41. They were the high scoring team last week. So
yeah.
Yeah,
Craziness.
that train is rolling. I mean, it's just impressive what Lamar Jackson's doing. The way he's running the ball just looks effortless. He's Michael Vick 2.0. He's just faster. He reads holes. He's got running back ability as a quarterback, and then he adds just enough as a thrower. You know that he just there's not such thing as a bad Lamar Jackson game. It just doesn't happen.
I think his arm's coming around better than people give him credit for. I mean, he looks like he throws tight spirals, dropping dimes to me. But
it seems like he still holds the ball a little bit too long, and I think it's because he's so comfortable running that he just doesn't seem like he just uncorks it. He's like a little passive back there that if it's not obvious, he's not going to do it. He doesn't force the ball, and that's a good thing. It's going to limit turnovers, but I think he always knows he has that calling card in his back pocket that shit goes south. I know I'm picking up 5 with my legs. Like there's just no two ways around it. It's a 5-yard run if nothing else.
Baltimore is, in fact, the top scoring team. They're averaging 34 a game. Over their last 3, they're averaging 42. And on the road, they're averaging 38.
They're trending.
Yeah. Man.
So get fucked, Rams. It's a wrap in week 12.
Listen, what'd you say they're averaging on the road? 38?
38.
The game total's 46.5.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. That's not good for the Rams. And that's where we will end it. Maybe we're wrong there, but highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. We're never wrong, right, fellas?
Listen, I'm okay backing Lamar Jackson right now, what he's doing, especially what the Rams have been putting on tape lately.
Right. So
I'm comfortable.
Week 12, that's our recap. That is in the books. We do want to wish everybody good luck. I know this is an important time. I got about 2 leagues where if I do not win this week, I pretty much eliminate myself. There's a jumbled up mess here for the last couple of playoff spots in a few of my leagues. And I'm sure some of you listeners out there are in the same situation. So good luck. We hope that some of this helped you out. If you had some questions, especially with those Colts running backs, I think that's one of the more of the tricky situations this week. And the fellas took care of you there. But make sure you go and like, rate, and subscribe on all platforms where podcasts can be found. There it is.
Everything.
Yes. Everywhere. Facebook, Instagram. And then we're members
MySpace.
Oh, yeah. We'll put you in our top 5 if you hit us up on MySpace. But make sure to go check out the Full-Time Fantasy Network. Got big things going on over there. Plenty of podcasts and other things, articles, all that stuff you need. But any parting words before we get out, fellas?
Nah, I think we touched it all.
Yeah. Talk myself into a...
No updates.
Sorry.
Nope, just no updates and nope. No names.
No news is good news.
Other than Mark Walton, which is irrelevant.
Yes. I talked myself into a fucking Giants Baltimore parlay. That's what happened today.
Oh, shit. Look at that. All right.
We all watched that Bears-Rams game, so I am fully behind John's parlay. Attaboy. All right. For myself, Andrew Burke, my partner, John Dabari, and Matt Walker, we are the Fantasy 40, and we are signing off.